welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast, the only podcast that is perfectly balanced as all things should be. I am your host, Max Mosier, here today with two other rotating Infinity Bro members of our 6-member cast. First, coming back from his hiatus, it is Infinity Bro Mark. Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's too bad the people of the Infinity Bros universe can't see that I now have a red background. It's finally been painted. Tomorrow, we're putting up the pictures that I've collected at the last Twin Cities Con. But I'm glad to be back.
Why did you go with red?
Why not red?
Okay, fair enough. I like that about you. I thought you were going to be like,
specifically, it's lava red.
It's for the Flash. Blah, 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 blah. I was expecting that, you know.
The original color set was Barbie pink and lime green. And then I was like, I'm going to do red instead.
Yeah, thanks for doing red instead. I appreciate that. And the other Infinity Bros are other DC superfan here. We have both DC superfans of our 6 rotating cast. He's obsessed with Magic the Gathering. You can check him out on all our social media pages as he creates tremendous content. Robbie Sauter. Robbie, how you doing?
I am doing great. Just been ripping packs constantly since Friday. I did see the Flash movie, but I've also watched Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring, the extended edition, since then. So if I mix up the two, I'm sorry.
Good for you. I got to tell you, that's awesome.
Yeah. And John Wick. So I've watched 2 movies that are very, very good in the last 5 days.
We're going to talk about the Flash today. Everything you need to know about the Flash. I'm just going to ignore that last one. That was... Anyway, before we get into the synopsis of this movie and get into spoiling it, because this will be a spoiler review, I'd love Mark and Robbie. Could you describe your hype level going into this? Like, what were you feeling as DC fans? Obviously, with this massive transition of DC going in and out, Ezra Miller finally gets an opportunity to portray this character in their personal movie. What did you feel? Robbie, let's start with you. What was your hype level coming into this?
You know, it's really odd. I didn't have much hype at all, honestly, going into this movie. There was things that I knew going in, like, okay, I think this is going to be really good. I specifically thought that Supergirl and the Michael Keaton stuff was going to be really good. But everything else I was just kind of meh. I wasn't really buying all of the famous people saying that this is going to be incredible. I wasn't really buying all the content creators telling me that this was the greatest comic book movie ever. So I went into it very, very low on the hype scale. A 1 out of 6, if you will, on the hype scale.
All right, that's fine. No, that's really good. I mean, and your favorite DC movie ever is Birds of Prey, just like Mark's. And so I know that you don't want that movie to get disrespected.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. It did try to do the sandwich bit. So
it did. It gave it its best shot. But we're going to talk about that in a little bit here. Mark, what is your thoughts of, or I guess, what was your hype level coming into this movie? You have been known, and Kevin Conroy himself called you the biggest DC fan in the Infinity Bros.
Kevin Conroy, the voice actor of Bruce Wayne, and actor of Bruce Wayne, and then voice actor of Batman, did say that I was.
We've got video evidence.
We know.
We've got it. So, what was your hype level?
Definitely, I wouldn't say hype was. I would probably go with Robbie and say my hype was a 1, but my desire to watch this just like skyrocketed. If that, like, I would say that's 2 different things. Like, my hype for this wasn't like, oh, I gotta go see it, but like I just needed to see it. I hope someone can understand what I'm trying to put across. Like I love DC stuff so much, and if you're a big DC, the animated movies that they had, I just, like, initially when they said it was the Flash movie and it was gonna be like a time travel thing, right. I was like, oh, they're doing Flashpoint Paradox. And like now having seen the movies, like, yeah, they did their best with what they could have.
Hold on. We're not going to get into reviews. Let's just
No. I'm just saying,
the jets.
So that was my thought.
Yes.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Yes.
I was like, okay, they're doing a Flashpoint movie, and so like I guess my biggest hype going into this is I wanted to see how many Batman were going to be in this.
Yeah, that was your goal. Your end game was how many Batman can we stuff into this movie?
Like, how many throwbacks are they going to give us?
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. So. This is a movie that came out from Warner Brothers. It's been in production since 2017. Michael Keaton who's in this movie. So I got a couple notes I wanted to share before I read the synopsis and we got into our reviews.
Are we spoiling? Are we going into spoilers?
No, we're not
after
going to do
this?
spoilers yet.
Okay.
I will give a spoiler warning. I do want to do a non-spoiler review because there's a lot of people on the fence about this one. So I want to make sure that we do offer that. And I think your two's perspective will be very important. So we will make it very clear when we start spoiling this movie. Michael Keaton, who's in this movie, was 71 years old in the making of this film. That makes him the oldest Batman in person on screen ever. It has opened officially as of today, the 18th of June, 2 million above Green Lantern in 2011, 4 million below Black Adam. It has been in production since 2017. The Flash has been a desired project dating back to, and this is not a lie, there are reports dating back to before the original Batman from Michael Keaton that the Flash movie was something they wanted to try to do. Warner Brothers has been talking about this movie for literally decades.
Isn't the story, or maybe I've read this like way back in the days on Threads, that Tim Burton wanted to do a Flash movie, but they were like, no, we got to do Batman because more people know Batman.
I have not heard that. Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me with how Tim Burton thinks, right? He's kind of an outside the box thinker. This feels like a movie he would want to do, right? This also has a B rating on CinemaScore. This is the same as Black Adam and Ant-Man Quantumania, and Robbie and I have both been on the record of speaking very poorly of Ant-Man.
I thought it was less.
What
than
is
Black Adam.
CinemaScore? How do they base their ratings on? Do they have like
Good
a
question.
So the
synopsis,
ratings,
like how they do the ratings?
it's this equation that puts all of it together and includes the audience scores.
Okay, so that's like the Rotten Tomatoes and critic score is so different.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a little more inflated than Rotten Tomatoes. And it opened. I already talked about Black Adam as well. There's a couple other things I'll talk about in the spoiler part because I don't want to give away spoilers for this movie just yet. Let me go ahead and read the synopsis. Barry Allen uses his speed force to change the past, but his attempt to save his family creates a world without superheroes, forcing him to race for his life in order to save the future. Andy Muschietti, who is going to be directing Batman Brave and the Bold for the new DCEU, directs this. The writers Christina Hodson and Joby Harold are accredited as this. There's a lot of people that went in and out on this project for writing, but those two are the ones that ended up getting this one. Sasha Kaye is in this. She plays Supergirl. Ben Affleck as Batman. Ezra Miller as Barry Allen. Michael Keaton as 1989 Batman. Michael Shannon returns as General Zod, and he was just recently on record as kind of crapping on superhero movies and different type of movies that have villains that are one-offs. Ron Livingston.
I thought that was specifically on Star Wars.
It was Star Wars, but he also mentioned
He generalized it.
He
Okay,
generalized
gotcha.
it. He didn't. In his defense, he didn't just attack Star Wars.
That's the article I first saw. That's what it was like. Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
That's the article is shared because it's talking about Star Wars and because of the context of what's been going on. Ron Livingston plays Henry Allen. He is forgive me, I don't remember the other actor's name, but he was in the Justice League movies. And then there's a couple cameos I'm not going to acknowledge right now. So we're going to go ahead and give our non-spoiler review. Before we get into that, I want to make one point very clear. The stuff happening with Ezra Miller behind the scenes, we all know about it. The Infinity Bros actually have a couple different ideas of how we've approached going to this movie. So Infinity Bro Jarrett's been on the record of saying he's not going to see it. And I feel pretty confident that all five of us stand behind him in that decision. It's a really murky situation. It does not play a factor in how we interpret this movie. However, it is knowledge to us. And that's the reality of the situation. And assuming Ezra Miller is ruled that he has done everything that's been talked about in the press, it's abhorrent. Those things, the guy's got to go to jail. And that's just the reality of it. I just want to make that claim right out the gate because I do think there's going to be a small group of people with this movie that either say, oh, you hated it because of this, or, oh, you just didn't give it a chance because of this. And I just want to make that caveat right out the gate. And I want to speak on behalf of my two buddies who I know the content of their character. And these are guys that would, one, they're great guys. They're not going to let that stuff ever slide. But two, they're very, very invested in these characters first. And so I just want to speak on behalf of them, but also on behalf of Jared, who's not going to be seeing this movie. So we're going to start with our non-spoiler reviews. I'm going to go first because I want to save you two for last because I know you guys' opinions are going to be way more valuable, I think, to the general audience than me. I think this movie is a mixed bag. I will get into that in the spoiler review. That's all I'm going to say. I think on paper, this movie had some tremendous ideas. I think this movie did some things, took some big swings and missed, in my opinion. But those big swings are landing for other people, and it's evident in how people are talking about this movie. It is not, in my opinion, the best DC movie ever. I'll get into that part and later in the spoiler review. I don't want to get in and mess with that. The
Is
highlights.
someone saying that?
What?
Is someone saying it's the best movie?
So when there was a movie premiere for like content creators and they all came out of it, like, and it was this huge thing in the internet that they were all saying it was the best movie like ever made, kind of thing. Like, it was going on the internet, like, people are saying this is the best comic book movie ever.
And the two notable names have been Tom Cruise and Stephen King.
the Tom Cruise,
The
Scientologist
Tom
Tom
Cruise.
Cruise.
Yeah, the guy known for everybody caring about his opinion on things. Moving on, here we go. I really, really think Ezra Miller did a tremendous job acting with himself. I think just like the idea that Ezra Miller was acting with, this isn't a spoiler, you see it in the trailer, he's acting with himself. I really thought that, and the story they chose to go with this had some really great emotional touches. The unfortunate part is everything else around it. And the window dressing that this movie does on paper and to get me to the theater works, but then when executed, there's some things that work, there's something there's others. And this movie's going to have a big ethical conversation moving forward about what is a okay cameo. And I'll just say it at that. I'll leave it at that. This movie has a very big I think the future of superhero movies has a big question to answer here on what is an okay cameo. I don't have that answer, but that is going to affect a lot of people's ratings of this movie, and that's why I say that. So I'm going to sit today at, I gave Black Adam when we were on here a 3.2. I'm going to give this a 3.3 because it is better than Black Adam, and I don't want to come on here and say it's worse than Black Adam, but not by much. That's just my opinion. We'll get into that more in the spoiler review because a lot of what I think happens to have with spoilers. So that is my official rating, 3.3. I'll pass it off to Infinity Bro Robbie. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a lot of the same feelings. There's things in this movie that I really, really loved and really, really enjoyed and could see what they're building. There are also, I've noticed a lot of things that people really didn't like that I actually really enjoyed. And then there's a lot of things that I really, really didn't like. That people really, really liked, or, you know, and vice versa. I keep going back and forth with certain scenes, and this movie might be one that I need to watch again to get a better feel for it. Without going into spoilers, the first 10 minutes of this movie were a struggle for me. I thought about leaving the theater, and I have never walked out of a theater before. That's how bad I thought the first 10 minutes were, which I think might be skewing my score a bit. But I'm going to give The Flash, I don't remember what I gave Black Adam. Black Adam deserves a 1. I'm going to give The Flash, I gave it a 4 on the Christian Nerd podcast with Scott Higa. I'll stick
4 out of 5.
Yeah, 4 to 6.
Oh, 4 to 6.
Yeah,
okay.
we win. Yeah. So I will continue with a 4 out of 6. I think there's enough good in this movie that you should watch it. Like, I think it's worth watching. I don't think if you're on the fence about it, it's not worth going to a theater for it. Wait for it to come out on Max's new program. Like, if you're on the fence, don't go. You can just watch it with Max.
Yep, Max is a good place to watch, and with Max Deck.
Yeah, we get it. My name's Max, and they named it after me.
Oh, your
Go
name's
ahead.
Max?
All right, Mark, go ahead.
I think I'll have to talk more about the first 10 minutes in the spoiler part. And I'm going to say this, and then I might contradict myself later. But I would say the first 10 minutes felt very much like reading a comic book. It was campy. It was corny. And I think that's what you kind of expect in a comic book. Like, it really, like, that was the most comic book part of the whole movie, in my opinion. I still had fun. I really did enjoy the whole story, and it was lacking in spots. Like, I'm with you. Like, this isn't a perfect score for me at all. And I don't remember my rating for Morbius. I don't remember my rating for Black Adam. So whatever, if anyone goes back and finds out what they were, they're going to be now lower to the score that I give The Flash. And I'm going to stand on that because I'm also giving The Flash a 4 out of 6.
Wow,
So,
I'm actually shocked.
Okay.
I think if this was coming out post James Gunn taking the helm and it wasn't already in production, this movie's a lot better.
I 100% agree.
I did have fun watching it. It had good moments. It it made me cry, made me laugh. It did everything. I think Ezra Miller did a great job, like as Barry Allen. I thought he did great. It's what you want in Barry Allen. So,
Mark, I would echo you with 100%. I think
the villain arc of it, maybe not the best, but they did okay.
I don't think we can talk anymore without getting into spoilers. So
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and transition to our spoiler talk. Thank you for checking us out. We hope if you go check out The Flash that you come back and listen to us. If you're somebody that's on the fence, I do want to answer this question because these are not our typical higher scores. Robbie, would you recommend someone see this in theaters?
Gosh. I mean, I kind of answered it. I feel like if you're on the fence, don't go. I don't think so.
I'm saying no.
Yeah.
My answer is no. Do not go to the theaters. Mark.
If they made this in 3D and you can go see it in 3D, go see it in 3D. If they didn't, in your area,
I could see that, Mark. I'm
all for superhero movies in 3D, so go see it in 3D.
I do like 3D movies.
You're going to be able to see it on Max in like 2 months. So
Okay, I can't wait to talk spoilers with you. All right, this is your official spoiler warning for this movie.
This is
Prepare yourself.
an Infinity Bros
Prepare yourself.
spoiler warning.
here at the Fidget Bros podcast, we have spoilers. And spoilers are here for you to not, stop and not listen anymore because we do spoiler stuff. So either stop or continue because we're going to spoil things.
That might be our new spoiler rating bumper. I'll tell you what, Mark. I might not
That was
put
nice.
one in
I
there
like
now.
that. Don't even put one in there. Yeah. Put in the little pause.
Okay, Mark. So you talked about there's a couple things. There's a lot to unpack.
Okay,
with this
I need
one.
that. I've been holding on to this.
Mark is ready to go. He's
Those first 10 minutes, I've never had more anxiety in a movie ever.
What do you mean?
With the babies gave me such I'm like, oh my gosh, is James Gunn gonna kill these babies for me? They're just gonna kill the babies? They're gonna kill the babies in front of everybody. And that didn't happen, and then the Flash saved the day.
No, so let's talk about the opening scene because just Robbie's made a statement on it, and I wasn't going to talk about specific scenes other than the cameos at the end, which we will talk about. But
I got comments on the animation too, so
I have a lot
Mark,
of comments.
we get
on
it. You
CGI.
have ideas on it.
So
I have ideas.
This first 10 minutes, Robbie, I would echo what you would say. Here's my like kind of like I'm understanding why people are on both sides of this. I thought the idea was really good, Mark. I thought the idea was like, it's a really good idea on paper.
Yeah.
Like, what's more innocent to save than babies and the nurse that's taking care of them? Like,
and a therapy dog. They're like, yeah, we didn't show you the therapy dog, but that thing's also falling. So, like, yeah, it's bad.
I just think the problem with this scene, and to me, the problem of this movie is CGI.
Yeah.
And Machete can tell me all day long that the Time Force, the Speed Force stuff is intentional, which I do believe that part is.
I don't think it was in that scene. I don't think in that scene it was.
I don't think it was in that scene. I agree with Robbie. I think that opening scene was just brutal.
However, I did think about this leaving the theater, and I've heard no one talk about CGI until right now. Or read up and saw what
sure, until you got on Twitter, right?
No, I never got on Twitter. This is the first time I'm just like I said, I didn't know people said this is the greatest DC movie ever. So that's how
a lot of people are defending
unattached
this
I've been.
movie. It's crazy.
So I thought about the CGI and I was like, was it bad on purpose, or are they gonna be saying it's bad because he's in the Speed Force? And I'm like, well, I'm watching a superhero movie where a guy can go this faster than the speed of light. What would stuff look like at that?
X-Men has mastered it.
We're in a different universe.
I don't care. X-Men did it 10
Marvel.
years ago.
Robbie, I'll help you out. I'll help you out. Man of Steel did this better.
Yeah.
And how the super people were like moving at top speeds, and how it was like choo choo choo. Like to me, I'm like.
So you wanted that versus like seeing him in the Speed Force. You'd rather just see him be fast and rather than he be normal speed in the Speed Force.
And we could talk about the Speed Force stuff a little later because I think it's its own conversation.
The Speed Force
I don't
is something
think
different. The Speed
it's completely
Force
different.
Is different.
But it doesn't take away from the animation. That's what I'm saying. That was my little inner debate. Like, I don't know, like, would it look different?
So, okay. that opening, like he has to run to Gotham, was CW-esque.
Exactly. CW's done it better.
CW has done that better. That was awful, and that's
And
where
his
that's
and
where
his goofy ass run.
yeah. That's the other thing. We still haven't fixed that freaking run. I almost swore there.
Well, they make fun of it later in the movie. They make fun of it.
We can't fix that. We can't teach this kid how to actually run. Like I could not, like, just watching that. I was sitting in my seat and I was like, what the bleep is this? And then we get in, like, also all the campy stuff that happens with the baby scene, like saving all that stuff. Okay, I'm fine with it, but I can't, and because I like campy. Campy is fine as long as you do it right. I could not look past how bad everything looked.
Those babies,
couldn't.
They look like dolls.
They looked terrible, Mark. They looked horrible.
Yeah, they were. Oh, I'm not defending them. They didn't look good.
And so I just wanted, like, I talked to this with Scott about this, like, that alone, and that little, like, run to Gotham, just those two things alone had me, like, stewing in my seat, like, thinking about leaving for the first 10 minutes. And then, like, it took me the next 30 minutes of the movie to just get over it, because I was like,
and to get back in.
yeah,
it,
like,
right.
like it really did. Like, I had to, like, really think about, like, okay, now this scene is happening, I have to move on. But, like, I was like, that crap was awful. And this movie's, like Max has said, has been in production for 6 years. And they greenlit this. And James Gunn and Stephen King and all these people went on the internet and said that this was incredible. Like, that was a load of absolute garbage.
James Gunn said this is the best DCU movie to date.
What do you expect?
No,
and
not that,
You know what?
Mark.
No, honestly,
Mark, that's ridiculous.
Hang on.
He
Let's
shouldn't have
back
said
up.
that.
James Gunn's the top dog. You're gonna sell it. And know what? If he's saying this is the first movie of his universe, then it is the best movie.
It's not.
It's not,
That's
though.
the point. That's the
Oh, it's
point.
not. Oh, well,
Dude,
what
the
is?
way this movie ends says it's not the first movie in this universe.
So James Gunn has said that Superman will be the first movie. Blue Beetle is the first
Blue-
character. No,
yeah,
Blue Beetle's
thank
the
you,
first
thank you.
character.
Blue Beetle. Yep, there you go.
Superman is the first movie.
Yeah, right.
Try to figure that crap out. I don't know, because Aquaman's also coming out after Blue Beetle.
Let's talk about the future. I want to save the future for the end, because I think that has to do with this ending and all that other stuff. And it's not just fascinating who was in the ending. It's also fascinating who wasn't in the ending. And I have a story I want to run by you guys that has to do with some people we're talking about earlier.
I am now
tickled
can we just
my
go to the
fancy
end?
here.
Yeah, I know. Well, you got to plug that. Hey, I'm trying to be a good host here, guys. I'm just trying to do my best.
Hey, you're always a good host, man.
Thanks, Mark. I got your
forget
6'2". I love you, bro. I love the fact that you're not wearing any sleeves today either. It's really great. 10:30 at night, no sleeves. I love that about you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk. So we talked about Ezra Miller. Can we just kind of get deeper into this? The CGI was bad. Do we think they were putting all the CGI into the Ezra Miller double and all those double scenes? Or do you think just with the way technology is now, it doesn't need that much work to make those scenes work?
No, freaking Lindsay Lohan did that in 1998 and it looked fine.
I wasn't gonna rip that specifically, but they've been doing this type of trick forever. I just can't imagine they CGI'd him in the scenes. Like, I'm sure they shot the scene twice with him in it.
Yeah, he's not CGI.
His acting was really great in this. I really was impressed with it.
That's what's most surprising. Is how, like, I was just like, oh my gosh, Ezra Miller did a pretty good job.
He
here.
did a great job.
Yeah, Ezra Miller was fighting for his career in this. Maybe he knew, maybe he didn't, but the irony of him being the best part of this movie is
he
crazy.
has they them pronouns
He does have they them pronouns. I'm aware of this.
and sir. I don't know how you use sir, but that's a thing.
Well, there you go. I'm more so making a point that I was really impressed with his work in this, and I was really impressed with how he accomplished this. And I don't know if towards the back end he had to go back into reshoots and do this a certain way, and when all that garbage was taking place in his life, but doggone it, his story absolutely works. Because Robbie, if his story doesn't work, I'm coming here and saying this is one of the worst DC movies and or superhero movies I've ever watched.
Yeah, they didn't land
and
that.
so
Right.
and he saved this thing. And I've got some thoughts on other people, but Mark, you talked about it. Robbie, anything to add about Ezra Miller?
No, Ezra Miller did a fantastic job. I I made this connection, and I think it actually makes a lot of sense. Did it feel like young Barry Allen was just Pauly Shore?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like
Oh,
he
I
was
was gonna bring
100%
that up. How- look at us.
1990s Pauly Shore.
It felt just like Pauly Shore.
Yeah, like his laugh and everything was spot on with Pauly Shore. I was like, he's just pretending to be Pauly Shore right now.
Yeah.
And he
Oh my
nailed it.
gosh.
He did a really good job.
I thought about
like,
that when he first laughed, and I was like, he's totally doing a Pauly Shore impression.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Like,
laugh was obnoxious,
that's Pauly Shore.
but it
man.
were
Pauly
you're
Shore.
right. The Pauly Shore connection's a great connection. I also liked with Barry Allen's character how they were able to accomplish telling his story without having to do the classic here's my origin story. I really, really liked that. And I really thought that was a clever way to do this.
Imagine if that would have came out in 2017. Just a good origin story for Barry Allen.
Yeah. Would have
Can you
been nice.
imagine how good that would have hit in 2017?
Yeah, it would have. It would have really hit well in that, and I think it's just fascinating how that worked out. One of the weak parts of this movie to me, and I'm just gonna kind of run through some of these characters because I think that's the best way to approach this kind of movie till we get to the big stuff. Is Iris West was an absolute waste of time in this movie, in my opinion. She pretty much clogs up space and allows for moments of exposition for Barry Allen's character to get to the next scene. I felt like she was a waste of space and just didn't have room to breathe in this movie. What did you guys think of Iris West?
Honestly, didn't think about her too much. You're right. They did use it just to be like, oh yeah, Barry's dad is still in prison. Here's this girl to get him to talk about it.
Yeah, you gotta have a love interest, Max. That's
Yeah.
I don't know if you do in this one. I think the love interest, I think the relationship with his mom
That's a love interest right there.
he cares about her. What did you guys think of the connection of Ron Livingston and Maribel Verdú, Nora Allen? What did you think of that?
She was Italian.
What?
Is she Italian in the?
No, she's
in the comics?
Spanish.
Is she Spanish? I thought she was Italian.
Oh, she's from Spain.
Well, that was how they did in the movie. I'm sorry. Were you asking about the comic book?
Yeah, I was talking about.
I don't know that, but I'll let you
these-
talk. I'll let you figure that out.
Pretty sure she's just Caucasian,
Caucasian?
in the comics. Yeah,
Just
in
regular old
Flashpoint
Max
she
White?
is. Yeah, in Flashpoint she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was thrown off with the accent right. I was like, okay, I was just like, I wasn't expecting just an accent, but I was like, I'm still all.
But no,
in.
I will say, like, obviously had a limited time to play with too. But that final scene with Barry Allen as like a stranger to her was really, really good. But at the same time, I was just like, she doesn't know that person. Like, I was like,
Yeah, but it
you're just
shows
hugging
her
a guy.
character that she's a loving person.
Right. Yeah. No, they did a great job. But like in my head, I was like, I went to dad mode and I was like, stranger danger. Like that
Yeah,
person
but,
looks
like-
like they're stealing things.
But would you say that if you looked into someone's eyes, can you see their like? Would you be like if you saw a 20-year-old, Grayson,
Max
and,
Mosher.
yeah, Max Mosher, would you be able to tell your child through their eyes? Like, do you think that Nora Allen knew that was Barry Allen,
I do. I subscribe to that.
or had some like subconscious feeling
Yeah.
that hey, this is my son?
Maybe, yeah.
I
Yeah.
do. I subscribe to that.
Or the probably more logical fact is she's just a caring person and would have done that with anybody.
I think it would have been more bold to have Barry Allen go back and kill his mom.
Well, isn't that kind of like said what happens without it being shown?
No, I don't think so.
Muschietti did confirm that it was Reverse Flash that killed his mom. He did confirm on Instagram. He showed a picture and explained that. Yes.
Oh, okay. So that's just something we're never going to get. Okay.
Correct. That was a future Flash movie that probably in 2017
It's coming
they
out
thought
in
they could set up.
2030. Okay.
9.
Starring Ezra Miller.
Starring
No,
45-year-old Ezra.
I thought Verdú did a great job in this role. I thought she really, in the limited screen time, I caught the vision of her relationship with Ezra Miller, and I was pretty impressed with that. And the consequence of her being there essentially created a Barry Allen that was very coddled, is kind of maybe a word I would use. Just
Extremely coddled.
yeah,
In a
and
very hands-on helicopter loving mother.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I caught that vision with it.
So he turns out to someone who can't be independent
Okay, so
and is reliant on his parents.
how many only children do you know?
That's a good question.
Because the one that I grew up with was like kind of that same way. Like
Sure.
never had anything, like got everything they wanted.
never had
Never had to
competition at
worry.
home?
Never had competition at home. like definitely like struggled like with peers kind of thing.
Sure.
Like, so like there is that little bit of aspect with this Barry Allen that they hit pretty well. Like he's 100% all about him. So I don't know. That's just, if you know any other people that are like only children, they might kind of remind you of how this Barry Allen acts. It doesn't make them a bad person. It's just you've always just done things yourself. You're gonna look out for you,
and that's how their temperament's gonna be. And it's not really their fault. It's just how, it's nature and nurture. It's the combo of that just led them to that.
That's a really interesting point, Robbie, that I did not take from this. So thank you for sharing that. Good job.
Oh, you're welcome.
Gold star.
You know what, Robbie? I'm giving that part of the review a 6 out of 6. Great job.
Oh,
Wow.
Stellar
You
job.
doesn't give those out that often.
I don't give them out.
know,
I
right?
just not willy nilly. That
Lucky
and,
boy over
that
here.
and Mark's shirt. That's another 6 out of 6 on this podcast.
Yeah, it's got Deadpool and rainbows. I know how much you love both of them.
Oh my word. Moving on from that.
that was fun.
It doesn't have pancakes though. I'm sorry.
Ben Affleck. What did you think of Ben Affleck returning as the Batman? in
Still
this,
the
guys?
best Batman to ever play Batman.
Oh man, that's a bold statement. Tell me more. What lends you to think that in this movie?
Just the way he just controls, just walks and just acts as I don't know what, man. Maybe I'm in love. Maybe that's what it is, and I just don't know.
That's
I don't
called
know, man.
love, Mark.
I very much felt like the way, I don't know if they modded his voice, but it very much reminded me of oh, why am I blanking so bad? Of the animated series Batman voice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It very much felt like go really specific. The one thing I think it was missing was, I wish they still would have done the white eyes in the animated series. I wish they did that with.
Still won't
with
do that.
Batfleck.
They just won't do it for Batman
Yeah.
for some reason.
Got to have those actors' eyes so they can show their acting well in a scene.
Their acting is so well right now.
Robbie, what did you think of Ben Affleck in this?
I loved Ben Affleck. I loved that we got to see another incredible action scene with that Batman. Because you could argue that Batman has the best fight scene of a Batman in Justice League or BVS? They all run together now. BVS. No, Ben Affleck was great. I don't know how much you want to get into spoilers.
We're in the spoiler territory. Go for it.
But I know, but are we getting into cameo spoilers?
I'd like to save a specific section for
I'll
cameos because I think
save
that's
that
going to take.
cameo spoiler.
I think it's going to take 20 minutes to talk about that.
I'll just say I wish we could have had more time with Ben. Is what I'll say. That's what I'll leave it at.
That's a Snyderverse comment too, right? Don't you think? Or are you saying just specific for this movie?
I mean, in this movie specifically, but I've come to accept that we're moving on. So I'm okay with moving on if we don't get any more Zack Snyder, because everything's ruined. The dream is dead. It's time to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you ever think that the James Gunn DCU is just not going to be good?
No, I don't want to believe that.
I
don't either, but
I'm worried that these movies that are coming out are going to make it very hard to make a transition.
Yeah.
That I am very worried about.
yeah, we're going to talk about the ending as well because I think this call leads into kind of some. I feel like even though we're in a spoiler setting, we're dancing around some subjects that
We are.
we're just trying not to show our hands yet on these things. Another note, we don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but Jeremy Irons was really great in this as well. I
Always
like
has
him as
been.
Alfred. I've always felt like he does a killer job in that role, and I felt like he was a bright spot.
I like how he was the secretary of the Justice League. That was just
Yeah, I like that
softball
too.
to us.
He's
Oh,
the
wait,
man in the
this is
chair.
Justice League.
I
Yeah.
agree, and I liked how they approached the beginning of this movie, explaining where Barry is at and how the Justice League has continued. It was also incredibly fascinating to see the Justice League Snyder Cut version be referenced, where Iris West did acknowledge that she had seen him before but couldn't remember where. That was in reference
Right.
to the scene where he saves her in the car. And additionally, they referenced him turning back time 1 second in Russia in reference to the big major scene, which in my opinion is one of the best scenes in all of a superhero movie of all time. I really love that scene. And I just thought Jeremy Irons was really good in this. And I'd echo everything you guys are saying about Ben Affleck. He's great. He's going to be missed, but there's been a huge mess for him. And I'm glad he's going off in this way. This was a good way for him.
I kind of hope that they come back in a few years if they're going to do these Elseworld movies and they do Dark Knight with Ben Affleck.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
That'd be fantastic.
Would you welcome him back for a Crisis movie?
Yeah.
Ooh,
You could have Ben Affleck play Batman for you forever.
Yes. I think the three of us want him back. Would you want him to be a leader or a side character? Like, who do you want to be leading that as that?
Batman's
in that role?
always a
Well,
leader.
hang on.
Yeah, but
It will
which
depend-
Batman?
Well, I can't say because he's one of the cameos.
Okay. All right.
That's a terrible idea.
Well, here we go.
Well, okay, this is what I'm kind of interested who they cast as the new Batman because I've heard Jensen Ackles, I've heard Alan Richardson, and like both of those guys I want to see do a Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I think both of them would be great.
I'd be all in on them. So like whoever's going to lead a Batman if they do a Crisis is going to be that Batman.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Let's get into the new world that Barry goes into. There's a ton here. We get to see these glimpses of what life would be like differently. So he references Back to the Future with different actors.
That was great. I love that whole
That scene was fantastic.
like it's Kevin Bacon is in Top Gun with like the gay volleyball players and
Yeah.
oh, I loved it.
Yeah, there was some really great pop culture references there. The tattoo was very funny. It was funny to see the Albert and Iris, the girl and guy who were mocking him at the beginning of the movie, turned out to be deadbeats in that universe without him, which was really funny. And the Tamura Morrison cameo is a very slept on cameo in this movie when he calls Tamura Morrison Tom Curry to just like see if Arthur's alive, and you see his new wife, and it just
Are you married to the Queen of Atlantis?
Yeah.
underrated scene, very funny, very well done. I thought that was really good. And before we get to the two big people in that universe, we talked about the origin story. I also wanted to make a note, Robbie, on the running comment you made. I loved the running joke when Barry lost his powers and he tried to speed up and he ran like a complete moron. I thought that was their answer to like, we think it's stupid too, but we have to move on because it's been established. So that was my rebuttal to that statement to you.
Fixed it.
I think they are like, we've done this too long. We got to keep it going. And then we get introduced to Michael Keaton as Batman, and we come to find out that this
Bruce
is what?
We get introduced to him as Bruce Wayne first.
Anyway, Bruce Wayne. We have this discussion about the spaghetti universes.
Love it.
So we love the way DC's approaching this.
Love how they're approaching it the exact same way as Spider-Verse did. They just explained it differently. They said they basically just said there are canon events that have to happen, and that's the intersections.
Oh, it very much felt like the Nexus explanation too.
Yeah, like
from the Multiverse of Madness, like
right.
Or What If is really where we really first got that in the MCU.
So you were pleased with the spaghetti thing, yeah?
I loved it, and Michael.
It was simple. A child could understand it. So
yeah,
sure.
What about you, Max?
I liked the spaghetti explanation. I liked. For
you really
me,
like spaghetti?
I love spaghetti. Spaghetti's great. Nobody here's attacking spaghetti. For the record,
Here's the thing. I can
nobody.
Tell you like spaghetti.
Nobody's.
Here's the thing I can tell. That guy right there. That guy likes spaghetti. I have a knack for these things. You like spaghetti. No, I gotta be honest with you. I thought the Michael Keaton introduction was really weird. I did not like that he was essentially in a wig and a huge beard. I felt like I just didn't like the explanation for him taking time off because Gotham didn't need it. I didn't like that.
Gotham was one of the safest cities in America.
I did think that was kind of funny.
So here, okay, I want
the long hair and beard. Why was that necessary? Why do we need beard
weird,
and long
man.
hair? Like, hey, I don't need to fight crime, so like I don't cut my hair anymore. Like, you're still Bruce Wayne. You'd still
in his house is like destroyed. Okay, but my question is this 1989 Batman? Is that where we're assuming this world is?
Yes.
Or 92.
If it is,
if you go.
Yeah, 92. Well, technically, Clooney and Kilmer were all the same Batman.
Yeah.
Go on, keep going.
Yeah, I think they got rid of those. Do we think that this Batman continued with killing, and that's why Gotham is one of the safest cities?
Oh, absolutely, Robbie. I never thought about that. and I'm 100% in support of that idea in theory.
So
That
this
is-
Batman was like,
Bat-
no, you know what? This
this
actually
Batman
worked,
killed.
and started killing all the villains, and now Gotham is the safest city in America.
Yeah, I'm in on that. I can roll that.
I love that. That's great. That's
can roll
how
that.
it should be.
No, I just didn't like the wig. Mark, I think I'm hearing you kind of agree with me on that. It just was a weird way to introduce him.
The mustache was really off. For
Yeah,
me.
that was just odd. And like he's pouring spaghetti in the bowl. Yes, the explanation makes sense, but the scenes are just odd. And it's there's been
It
this
felt real
huge,
though.
Yeah, no.
I thought
In my
felt right.
opinion,
It felt
I was fine
it
with it.
felt just strange. It's like I've been waiting the whole movie for this. This is like the biggest reason you're coming to this movie is for this guy. And to introduce him in that way versus how they introduced it in, and I know it's not fair necessarily to compare these movies, but in the Spider-Man No Way Home movies, how they introduce those characters is this like, oh my gosh, they're here. I get a breath of fresh air. I'm excited. Here we go. We can move on. I think Michael Keaton deserves way more respect than Andrew Garfield does. And I think Andrew Garfield got treated way better than Michael Keaton did in this introduction. That's all I'm saying.
I think there's more fans that cared more about Andrew Garfield, if that makes sense.
I don't agree with you. I think more people care about Michael Keaton than Andrew Garfield, and I'll die on that hill.
What I really wanted them to reveal was that this was actually Thomas Wayne.
Yes, I thought the same thing, Robbie. I was like, is this going to be Thomas Wayne? Or are we going to get that side story?
They beat around the bush for a while on that too. Like he didn't say he was Bruce right away.
Sure.
He didn't answer to Bruce right away. Like I was really, really holding out hope that he was gonna be Thomas Wayne, because they also had they showed the alcohol, they showed the house destroyed, like everything that the Flashpoint paradox does with Thomas Wayne. He's a broken man who still has his mansion, but it's crappy. There's no one around. He's completely alone, and he just drinks all day. And that's what I was hoping for.
So
And we didn't get that. That took. I accepted it that he was Bruce Wayne, but it was just a want. Just make him Thomas, and then make him a little edgy. Because we kept seeing the scenes where he flips a switch and he's like, "Let's get nuts" or whatever. Okay, let's make him Thomas.
But to
Wayne.
me, that's the original Batman, Robbie. Like that, he was a little nuts. There was some screws loose up there. I like that version of
And
Batman.
I don't
think
think
a lot of people
cast
like.
Michael Keaton to not play that Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I agree.
Why not?
I don't know.
Why not?
I just think of
That
this
would be
when you say
perfect.
Tom. I forgot about this. If Justice League is successful, our Flash movie is Thomas Wayne by Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Batman,
Oh yeah,
That's Thomas Wayne.
100%. Yes.
and that would have been it. That it would have been a true Flashpoint paradox
He would have been
movie,
perfect.
and you have the
Yeah.
whole Justice League in the beginning. It would have been great.
One criticism I will make about this movie, I was going to save this comment for the end, but I'll say it now, is you had the Flashpoint pieces lined up. You had everything you needed to do that story, essentially beat for beat. Get a little more creative with how Martha becomes the Joker. Get a little more dark with how Thomas Wayne's Batman. Sidestep some of the stuff you do. You had all the, let's throw the main dogs in there. Let's get Gal Gadot
and you-
back.
And
Let's
you
get
can
them all
recast
back.
some of the big characters because it's in an alternate universe.
You could have had Gal Gadot cut off Mira's head. What's her name that plays Mira?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Let's not give her.
the-
Let's not give her credit. Don't speak her name.
Sorry,
It's
I'm-
like
The
multiple-
fans,
a woman.
The fans would have gone crazy if they
That's
cut
what I'm
off
saying.
Amber Heard's head. She probably would never allow with everything that's gone on in her life recently. But
CGI.
could you imagine? That scene would have been a GIF everywhere.
But Robbie, the point I make is there was no way in hindsight that this was going to be Thomas Wayne, because if they had wanted to do that, Mark's right. They would have gone Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and I think people would have still been excited for it in a different
I
way.
think people might have been more excited for it. See
I
Thomas
don't know
Wayne,
about
knowing
that.
what
Michael Keaton is.
Yeah, you're
dude,
right. You're
You're
right.
underselling Michael Keaton right now, dude.
I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan so much too. That's another guy I would love to see play.
I
Batman.
just want something to shock me in these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing shocks us anymore because we just know everything that happens in these movies
Well,
before they come out.
I'm with you, Robbie, on that. Because, and this is why we're not going to be shocked anymore, is because of the toy market. My thought of this movie is you don't tell us who Superman's going to be. You kind of lead to that in the preview. It's we have to find, the Superman's probably locked away somewhere. And know what you do instead? you don't tell us who it is, and then you
Right.
cameo the Superman. You make that Superman, like, let's just say a random person, someone who his last name is Cage,
Yeah.
and you have him be the Superman in the whole movie. Could you imagine if they did that? That would have been nuts. But they're not going to spoil us that because they have to put all this toy line out so people go buy toys in Funko Pops.
Right.
That's so like we're not gonna get surprised anymore.
Sasha Kai is in this as Supergirl, and I feel for this actress who, on paper, was having different ideas. There are scenes, and we'll talk about this at the end, but there are specific ending scenes where she's in those scenes, and there's evidence that she's coming back. But with the James Gunn change, she got the axe, and essentially she is in this role to do two things. One, explain how Superman is gone, because obviously he's gone. So what's she doing there?
Terrible explanation, by the way.
The explanation was fine. In my opinion, I thought it was fine because it added emotion to the reason she was fighting.
For that reason, it's fine. There was no explanation. It was like, oh, well, actually, the Codex isn't you, not your cousin.
That's the point I make.
That's like
that. Yes.
I don't,
Yeah,
okay.
but we're on
So,
a different
I
strand of spaghetti.
I understand, but the whole reason they put they
He
said they should
loves
put
the
the ship
spaghetti.
together.
He hates the Codex, Mark.
Yeah.
That's what he's
They-
saying. He loves
But
more
Shut up.
spaghetti. That's
Shut
a guy
up.
who loves spaghetti.
Shut up. Can I explain this? Zod said that they sent out Kal-El on the pod still. Like, why would Jor-El even do that if the Codex wasn't in him? Because that's exactly what it was supposed to be. And then they're just like, but actually it was in you. We don't need any explanation as to why. It just is because of storytelling.
No, I don't think-
The easiest thing they could have done, I explained months ago in a video explaining this. All you had to do was they go find Supergirl, Kara, and someone activates her ship, and that brings Zod. That's all you had to do. It's that freaking
That's
easy.
fair. That's parts of it's fair.
No,
But it's a
we
different
did
universe.
miss in that scene, and they confirmed it in the Justice League movie. Is it would have been really cool when they started fighting that Martian Manhunter was that general that would have been there. If you
Yeah.
remember,
Yeah, that would have been cool.
like if he started fighting too.
Yeah.
So that whole fight scene also had Martian Manhunter involved.
Sounds like we know so much more than these directors.
Well, that's a given. You're the DC bros. Sasha Kai, I just want to give her moment. I think she's a good actress.
great.
I think
She
she
was great.
played this role
Oh, I
well.
thought she did great too.
That was
I
awesome.
wasn't when I heard this news initially, if I'm being honest, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, all right, let's get after this. And I was pleasantly surprised. I thought the editing with her was very strange. One minute she's watching Zod fight this army, the next minute she's back helping the Flash get his powers without any explanation. And then essentially, I'm going to make this point, Mark, and I'll pass it off to you. My biggest problem with this movie, if I can name one problem, it's the biggest one. It is the fact that Michael Keaton and Sasha Kai exist, and their role is to be a one-off in this movie. I hate that. I think
You
it's
hated that?
I despise that. I think it was not
I
fair to
thought
either
that
actor,
was
especially.
bold as crap. to
That's not
kill
bold at
Michael
all. I
Keaton.
think no, that's lazy given the context of what they were setting up.
Nah,
in that movie.
I think I
disagree
want
with
to
you
go
there.
back to Robbie saying that this Batman made Gotham safe by killing everybody, for how low tech his ships and equipment still were.
He didn't need to update them. He killed everyone so early.
Basically, it's the same.
I
it was
love that
back
you
in the
let
late
that
80s,
go,
early
but you
90s.
won't let the Codex thing go. That's hilarious.
What
That
do you
is
mean?
hilarious.
Why is that hilarious?
I just think it's funny that you're letting certain parts be okay, but other parts not.
If Batman kills everyone, the city's safe, and then he can do whatever he wants.
All spaghetti.
All you had to what?
I'm laughing at the spaghetti thing. It's the spaghetti argument. That's the Codex argument.
Spaghetti
Well,
is fantastic.
but back to
Canon
your,
of that.
the end points. Your gripe with Supergirl and Michael Keaton Batman having to die. It's the nexus point in this universe. They have to
Right,
Zod
which
wins.
is why we get
so
the
it doesn't
Dark
matter.
Flash.
So even if they live, Zod still wins.
And for clarity, for the story, it makes sense. I'm saying for those two, any future movies with them, it's a bummer for me because not Michael Keaton as much because he's 71, whatever. But Sasha Kai essentially signs up for this movie to be a one movie thing, and to get
Well, who
her in
knows?
any
She
other
could've
movies is
signed-
gonna be
she
weird.
could've
She could
signed
still
up.
be in. She could still be in one movie.
It's
Her
gonna be
original
hard. We'll
contract
see.
could have been a few, and her original contract could still have her in a few, and she might be in Elseworld movies where
Because
she's
Barry
cameo.
Allen proved that there can be the same looking Barry Allens in different universes.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I didn't.
Like it's not.
I wasn't a fan of it. I wasn't a
would
fan of the
say
one-off.
This is my bold statement. I think they did a better explanation on multiverses than Doctor Strange did.
Oh, for sure.
No, because Loki made the explanation for that, so that's not
I
true.
said better than Doctor Strange.
No. Doctor Strange.
That's not
Loki.
even true. The spaghetti
Yes.
thing is
It's
just
fantastic.
another creative way of saying what Loki and Spider-Verse are saying.
Oh, well, it's okay that you're wrong, and we can move on.
There was spaghetti was involved, and I was all for it. I understood every single thing he said.
All three of us love spaghetti. I don't know if Zane loves spaghetti, but I know that at least 5 of 6 of us love
Do you
spaghetti.
think Zane can make spaghetti?
Zane's never made spaghetti before.
That's true.
I thought Michael Shannon absolutely mailed this in, Mark, as General Zod.
Oh yeah, and he's a phenomenal actor, and it very much felt like I could have been Zod. Like,
Did you guys? Okay. Did you guys hear the report that like he was talking about this whole Zod thing, and he was like, when I made Man of Steel, I dedicated like a year and a half of my life to this, and for the Flash, it was just like a week or two, and I was out of there. Like that's how like little he cared.
He was
It
so
just
bad.
Like, he
he was so
called
good in Man
like,
of Steel, though.
Yeah, he was incredible
great
in Man of Steel.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like he called like Zack Snyder was like, "Hey, it'd be okay if I play Zod again." Zack was like, "Yeah."
Go
and
get
then
that
he
bag,
flew
dog.
out. Yeah, he flew out for a week, did Zod, and left. Like he didn't care at all.
How much do you think they paid him for that?
Fat stacks, I hope. I hope he got paid well.
At least one ring.
Dude, okay, so here's the other CGI argument I'd make here. The Man of Steel movie looks way better than everything that is happening in this whole scene.
Yeah.
Well, it's a known we've downgraded in CGI.
But I'm
has
just
done
making more of a
crap
point of
last
like
15
I
years
cannot
later, or 10 years later.
I cannot believe that scene was that bad. That is supposed to be your big third act aside from the Speed Force stuff. That's supposed to be your big like knockout punch, like this is the scene you've been waiting for. And I was so underwhelmed.
Well, I wonder with the amount of delays, how many like did they have to redo FX stuff?
Oh, I bet a ton because of how this movie went. You're absolutely right.
I know I was very critical about the baby scene. I actually didn't mind the third act as much as
It didn't look as
I'm
bad
hearing.
though. It didn't look as bad as the first.
I
act, though.
was engaged by the third act. I was engaged in this movie, and I was actually.
It was action. It's
I
like
was
I think you
actually
give
okay.
you give a little bit more when it's action stuff versus like Barry Allen's trying to solve something versus fighting.
He's trying to solve how to freaking run.
Yeah, and eat burritos and save babies.
Yeah, it would be interesting to rewatch this when it comes on Max and see some of the discrepancies in that.
Max, are you getting this?
Max,
getting what?
Isaac soundbite.
Are you getting this? Are you getting this movie, Max?
No, I will not buy the movie Max.
You're not getting this, Max. Max isn't getting this.
How are you
I
gonna
think
watch
this
it on
movie's coming to
yourself?
Max. I think it's coming to Max.
So anyway, all right, let's get to the big elephant in the room, and that's the cameos. And so let's talk about the Speed Force first.
Wait,
and
wait.
we'll
Can we count down and say our favorite cameo at the same time?
our favorite or our least favorite?
Favorite.
Okay, hold on. I'm reviewing my list real quick. Oh yeah, I know my favorite cameo. Yeah, I know mine. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I know mine. I got it. You guys ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. George
George
Clooney.
Clooney.
George Clooney by a mile. Yeah.
George Clooney by a mile.
I said,
Yeah,
I
George
said
Clooney
Nicolas
by a
Cage.
mile. Yeah.
Nicolas Cage.
And this is kind of a thing. Well, and so
Do-
we'll talk
do-
about all these
Do you
cameos
think?
here.
Wait. Do you think Nicolas Cage got paid?
No, Nicolas Cage wasn't in it. That wasn't him. That was
his
CGI.
likeness. His
It was
likeness,
CGI,
though.
but his likeness.
We
so
all know what it
gets
was.
paid
He
for his
fought the
likeness.
spider. He fought the the Tim Burton spider. That
Yeah,
was
he
gonna
finally
be-
did it. He finally fought the spider 25
He finally
years
fought the
later.
spider. It was a terrible idea.
Did you guys
They-
ever watch that documentary on that?
Yeah, the death of Superman Lives. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
John
Great
Schnepp,
doc-
R.I.P. All right, John Schnepp, the director of that.
I can't believe if Isaac was here, me and him would have said Nicolas Cage.
Well, yeah,
can't believe
well, duh.
I can't believe this has happened.
Yeah, and Zane would have said he loves spaghetti, even though he doesn't.
He would have said Adam West.
So
I
let's
love those,
let's
those
talk
wet
about
noodles.
the-
Yeah, those are good stuff.
let's talk about this Speed Force stuff. So Machete on the record says this CGI was intentional. I believe him. It doesn't make the decision good.
Right.
Yeah, we decided to go with this because we ran out of money.
Yeah,
and
I don't-
time
yeah.
and desire.
I'm with you there, Mark. I think contextually, the way that these scenes were crafted for the Speed Force was a very, very unique idea. I thought it was a very good idea to have the time layers on top of itself. The execution was really poor. Do you guys have anything to say about that before we get into the cameos and the big climax of the film?
No, I'm with you on that.
The only thing I get the layering thing. It's like, but you could have like thrown in
Agreed.
different pictures here and there. You didn't have to just do the same
It very
grid
much
of pictures.
it very much reminded me of
I don't know.
the when the codex, not the codex, when we're on
Don't bring up the
Superman's
codex,
ship
please.
and it's that gray stuff. Mm-hmm. Very much
Oh,
reminded
sure.
me of that, but in
That's
color.
exactly what it reminded me of.
Yeah,
but
Or
that, like,
like in
color.
Guardians of the Galaxy when Ego is explaining his timeline
Oh.
stuff behind him.
yeah, I would say
Similar to
that's even-
that. I was
Yeah,
like, this is an
very, yeah.
intentional design by that ship. I
Would you have rather had it those pictures or like moving like video? Like it was like a scene we just saw and it's just like that playing, like it's a still of that.
picture. I would rather have pictures.
Yeah.
Well, and here's what they do, Mark. Two things. They copy Thor: Love and Thunder's CGI thing with the floating head kid. They do the same thing with the Flash. I immediately thought of you, Robbie. I got to tell you, when I saw the Flash poke his head out, I was like, Robbie's either going to lose his marbles or never be able to make fun of Marvel ever again.
Dark
I
Flash.
after the first 10 minutes of that movie, I can't make fun of Marvel ever again. Marvel CGI is great. They have
Couldn't believe
great
it.
That was
CGI.
hilarious when he poked his head out, and I thought the same thing. Is like people are gonna either like
Oh,
just
no.
go buy this or just like
No.
just give it crap.
It
It's like,
was.
no.
I'm-
We gave Thor: Love and Thunder crap. We're giving this crap. No one's safe.
100%. I walked out of that scene
terrible.
just like, yep, Thor: Love and Thunder just got redeemed. Good for them. And then the other thing is, I didn't talk about this earlier, but I just had to make this comment. The scene where the whole world shuts down and Zod is talking on the TV looks worse than it did in Man of Steel. I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that they just didn't take archive footage and just
Right.
literally render over that. I was flabbergasted that they actually CGI'd Michael Shannon onto that. That was ridiculous. Couldn't believe that. 1 out of 6 that.
Well, Zack Snyder cared.
Apparently.
Machete
Apparently.
Demon.
All right, back to the Speed Force. Sorry, I went off tangent.
We don't
there.
know what we had until it's gone.
We sure didn't. We sure didn't. And then we get to the climax of this whole
Yeah.
endeavor. The Flash and the younger Flash take on each other, who we then discover that the previous purple Flash that knocked him out into that timeline is
Dark
indeed
Flash.
Dark Flash.
old Dark Flash is there. And
I love how I was like, this young Flash is going to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
At the end, I didn't expect there to be a third Flash.
Really?
it was
Yeah,
him, but
I
it was
didn't-
still a third one. Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. At the end, like there's 3 Flashes on the screen.
Sure.
Yeah, I
just
did.
expected
I
him
thought
to
that he
turn
was
into
just going
that
to keep
guy.
going, and
Yeah.
he turns into it. Yeah.
Yeah, were you satisfied with this inclusion of this new character? Is it a new character or maybe just revealing
I'm
the
not
fate
sure.
of this old character?
I kind of just expected it to be You're About Dawn, Reverse Flash at the end. So
This felt to me very CW-ish. Robbie, how did you feel?
not CW-ish. You guys have not watched all the CW seasons that keep saying CW. Seasons.
No, I'm referencing the first 2 seasons that I have watched.
Oh,
Yeah, the first
For
two
clarity.
seasons that were actually decent for a while.
Okay. Carry on.
I thought the idea for the Dark Flash was really, really good. I think the execution was a little iffy. To have him just like he comes in, he's like been doing this for 1,000 years or whatever it is, like 100 years.
Probably
like,
a million years.
time is inconsequential or whatever.
I'm time now.
Yeah, like I thought it was really interesting that we got to see the young Barry Allen like slowly turning in to that Flash, and that's why I think they missed out on that opportunity to just have him keep doing it and then eventually get that look.
Agreed.
To have him like come in with the Power Ranger outfit, basically.
It was a Batman outfit.
I'm meaning the Power Ranger, like all the big stuff on them.
Yeah, he looked like one of the
Yeah.
little Power Rangers.
He looked like he was wearing.
Did.
Yeah.
He did,
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of a question mark. But I did
What?
love.
What's the question?
Shut up. I loved, and this is just stupid, but I loved like a Barry Allen with a giant hook on his arm. That like I was like, that's freaking cool. Like Barry Allen should just do that. That should be in his outfits anyway. So I just wish like what you said, Max, they should have just kept going. That Barry Allen just turns into him, and you get to see him go in and out and just constantly get worse and worse.
So talking about Flash powers came to my mind. Like we're like, oh, we can't defeat these Kryptonians. There's a scene where the Barry Allen we know does his little phasing thing, through the chest of a Kryptonian. So why aren't you just ripping out hearts?
The young Flash tried it and it didn't work.
Did he? Did I miss that? Where he tried to rip someone's heart out?
He tried. He tried everything. He was doing it for millennia. My assumption is he tried that.
But
and
it wasn't. It wasn't the young Flash that did that. It was the Arbiter.
Right. I'm just more making a point that I think there was no way to do that against that group.
Okay.
I think that's what the story is telling us. And then we get the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline. It has been confirmed by Muschietti that this was going to lead into a Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline where the DCU would would officially end, and then a new universe would start with kind of different pieces, and we get a very, very fascinating group of cameos. So we get Nicolas Cage's Superman, Robbie's favorite cameo. We talked about that. If you don't know what we're talking about with this spider thing, just go look up The Death of Superman Lives. It's a documentary by John Schnepp, who passed away a couple of years ago, like one of the biggest comic book nerds ever. It's a fascinating documentary.
I love that they took so much time for the cameo piece to show that, when maybe 10% of the audience will have any idea what it is.
Additionally, we'll talk about the other cameos in a sec, because then we get, and this is where this gets really weird really quickly. Teddy Sears is Jay Garrick. Mm-hmm. We get a shot of George Reeves as Superman. Mm-hmm. We get a shot from the side of Adam West as Batman. We also see Burt Ward, and we get a cameo voice of Cesar Romero, who played the original Joker. And then we get Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater as Superman and Supergirl, and the CGI on this was awful.
The entire
in my
scene.
opinion. This whole thing was awful.
See, but I thought that was also
It
part
was
of
very
like the
much
Speed Force thing.
Polar
I thought that was
Express CGI.
Yeah, I thought the point of that was to look like how Andy Muschietti was explaining it. Like, it's supposed to look a little skewed. I thought that was the point of it, but I think in that moment it shouldn't have looked like that. It was inexcusable for in that moment for it to look like that.
I said at the beginning in my non-spoiler review that I think this movie is going to challenge cameos in the future, and I know we've had cameos similar to this like
But they're not
years
traditional
ago.
cameos besides George Clooney and.
No, it's not my favorite. George Clooney is a different type of cameo. I'm talking about the cameos of people that are
all
dead.
these people. I'm
talking about people that are
specify
dead.
That's different. You're blanking.
No. I'm
cameos.
saying you didn't let me finish. You
go
just
on.
interrupted me, Mark. Come on, grow up.
I'm a bulldozer. You know this. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay, well, I forgive you.
Can confirm.
No, I think this challenges how cameos are in the future, because I know with Princess Leia years ago there was a cameo CGI of her, and I think of Luke Skywalker. Yes, Hamill's not dead, but this is an ethical question that I do think is fascinating. I think in particular for George Reeves, who he killed himself, and for him to get a cameo in this is very odd. For Adam West, who recently died, I mean, Burt Ward was in a better cameo in the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline on the TV series. I'll just be honest with you. I'm normally not the kind of person that's like, oh, if you're passed away, you can't be in these movies. There were just so many that I just don't. I would love more clarity on, did every family approve of this? To my knowledge, nobody approved of it on the Christopher Reeve side. And this is setting a pretty crazy precedent of like, what's to stop them from making movies with this character in the future as a central piece of the story?
The CGI would say.
Well, his
apparently for
estate
DC,
could
it's the
have
CGI.
Signed over his likeness, or whatever contract he had in the past. His likeness could be used for
Sure.
Superman stuff. So that's how you probably got around.
No. I'm not saying they did it illegally. I'm not making that claim. I'm making more of the claim.
Gotcha.
Of
I was gonna say
I'm ethically
no way
challenging.
Warner Brothers does that without.
No.
anything
That's
with
and thank you for clarifying that, because that is a good point.
Okay.
I'm more so saying I just didn't think it was in good taste. And honestly, when I saw Christopher Reeves, there was a part of me that thought we were going to see Christian Bale and then Heath Ledger. I thought for sure.
Yeah, like
we're gonna
why
turn and
use
see
like
Heath
some of
Ledger.
these lesser known people versus
Right.
or even do like an animated series like group of
Kevin
people.
Conroy, Lego Batman.
Lego Batman.
I don't know about
yeah.
Lego Batman. I don't need Lego Batman. I can.
Well,
You're off your rocker. You're off.
Spider-Verse did it. and
You
it
are
was
no.
fantastic.
Stop. You're off your rocker, Mark. You're off your rocker. They literally just did this in another movie and people went bananas.
It was incredible. But DC probably would have CGI'd
People are
it, and
bananas
it would have
now?
looked terrible.
Robbie, what do you think? Okay, Robbie, get in more these cameos. Like, do you yay nay?
I thought it was a waste of time, to be honest. Like they didn't do really anything for me in that scene. Which I think if you're gonna make those kinds of cameos, like I think you're saying like, look at all these characters that you used to love, and they just
Here's your
went
toy
with-
box.
Yeah, they didn't do that very well.
I-
Christopher Reeves, yes. Everyone else is just kind of like small little snippets. Like you barely even got to see Adam West. Like
We want
I don't
interaction with these characters. If you're going to give us the time of day that you're going to CGI them, we want them interacting with current characters.
Agreed.
which is
I think that's
exactly
what
what
makes it better.
Spider-Verse did, and it was fantastic. Or Spider-Verse and No Way Home. Like I actually said this to Max
Well,
that
is it
this
is
is
it the-
this is No Way Home if DC made it, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like it's just so terrible. Like just phoning it in because it worked for another movie.
And for Grant Gustin to not be in it is just an absolute travesty. When Ezra Miller literally went on his show and did it. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Doesn't make any sense.
makes no sense that Grant Gustin wasn't in this movie.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense that Grant Gustin wasn't the Flash at the end of this movie. So we get to the end of the movie, and Barry Allen does find a way to save his dad, which I thought was interesting. But in doing this, the best cameo, in our opinion, with Mark and Max was George Clooney shows up as Batman.
Bruce Wayne. He shows up Bruce Wayne.
As Bruce Wayne, sure. Mark,
He's the best
I
Bruce Wayne out
texted
there.
you right afterwards, just like laughing. I audibly in the theater said, "No way!" You talked earlier about I'm not getting shocked anymore. I was shocked. This absolutely.
Oh,
floored me.
I
Go
was
ahead.
like, we're getting George Clooney or Val Kilmer at the end of this. I was just
I thought it was
in my
Christian
heart.
Bale. I thought it was going to be Christian Bale. I really did.
oh
I didn't
man,
have
if
that
it was
in my
Christian
bingo
Bale,
card.
I don't know what
I'm
do
like,
either.
it's gonna be another '90s Batman. So
No, they nailed it. And then they ruined it right after that.
Yeah, and
yeah, they kind of did.
the only reason this cameo worked to me was because I know it's
Because he
not
plays
going
Bruce
anywhere.
Wayne. Oh, but yeah, exactly. That's why George Clooney's like, I'll show up. I just need to show up in a suit. No, easy.
Yeah.
I don't have to shave.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. I get to be in
Okay,
a really
okay.
fancy
Solid.
car. Okay.
Yeah, I loved that. And it just summed up the movie. It's like this movie has no consequences. This movie is a place filler.
That's what
To
I
attempt
hated.
to make
Like,
money.
Why didn't you end it with something serious
Why
that
not
lead to
reset
another
it all?
story? Yeah.
Mark,
Why not
Oh, yeah,
reset it all?
yes, Robbie.
It doesn't
Yeah,
make
make
any
it a
sense.
reset
It
where
doesn't
it's just
make any
like
sense.
you just end it with a blank slate or moving to Blue Beetle, whatever.
No,
he did
they
affects the Blue
they
Beetle
actually
movie,
ended it with his. They ended with his tooth falling out and a Looney Tunes. That's all, folks. Little gag there. That was terrible. That was awful.
That
the
was worse
worst.
than the gag that Quantum Mania did at the end, where Scott takes a bite of the food and he just kind of chokes on it at the end of Quantum Mania. It was
No.
worse than that.
That was
That was
hilarious. That
terrible.
wasn't bad.
And they
I loved that.
They even CGI'd the tooth falling out. Like,
Yeah.
It's
Do you
bad.
think Jarrett would see it if he's the reason why Ezra Miller's tooth really came out? Because Jarrett punched him in the face.
maybe.
I already told Jared all the spoilers to the movie. He's not seeing it.
Jared doesn't need to see this movie.
Jared doesn't need to see it.
No, but I just don't understand why you don't reset this.
Robbie,
why didn't you reset everything?
you nailed
Just
the
in
last
case
thing I was going to say.
Just in
Right
case it makes $1 billion and you
right
need to
there.
keep these characters.
It'd be lucky if it's going to make $100 million at this point.
No, they're not going to make anything. And the people that are like, this movie is legitimately tremendous. I'm just like,
That's just wild to me. And I'm one who's usually like, a movie like this should have been a 6 out of 6. And I'm even like, I mean, it was okay.
I thought you were going to give it a 5.5.
I thought we were
No.
going to come on this show and Robbie and I were just going to have to try to
Yeah.
fist fight you, the
I'm
way
with
that
you guys.
Civil War.
But I don't know. Maybe with Marvel, I have no expectations, and I just love what they do. With DC, I care a little bit more. And
The problem is
I-
I've
and now
stopped
I'm
caring.
getting
Everybody
cynical.
cares what DC does. And that's the
Yeah.
problem. Everybody cares as much about DC as Marvel, but we're watching Marvel do it well, but they're just like going to weird side characters and they're still kind of doing a good job.
If James Gunn is really going to do Elseworld stuff with DC, that's what I'm here for.
He needs to
now.
get going on it. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
He is
Here
working
was
on it.
Scott, he's working on it.
getting to it.
Okay, he's
on
getting
it.
to it, Mac.
You
Cool to
can't
jet.
just make a movie out of.
I need to
thin
calm
air,
down.
Max.
Hey guys, I
Well,
like
maybe
spaghetti.
with
It's been
AI, you
6
can.
I like
months.
spaghetti. I like it. It's a good food.
It's been 6 months. He doesn't
Scott
even have a
Mendelsohn
Superman.
tweeted this, and I thought this, in my opinion, I thought this was a very great way to describe the tension around this movie. This is the latest example of how online fandom, which drives and leads to overly positive media coverage, is not indicative of general moviegoer interest. The real world didn't care about Miller's crimes, Keaton's cameos, or Gunn's reset. They didn't also care about The Flash. Because I think a lot of people are like, what's to blame with The Flash? And I think it's all of the above. I don't think it's one thing. And you guys know,
Timing.
this is my point too. Like, how do you get this opportunity to reset everything and not take advantage of it? Oh, by the way, the article I was going to share, Muschietti says that James Gunn got rid of an ending where either Superman and Wonder Woman are there, the original, or Michael Keaton and Sasha Kaya are there as Batman and Supergirl. He got rid of both for George Clooney. Now, he had to leave. The idea, and I'm assuming for James Gunn, is he had to leave the slate clean.
Yeah.
Because he wants to be able to do whatever he wants to
Well,
do.
he doesn't want any confusion because, like, I think
Yes.
that's what they undermined his idea with Henry Cavill and Black Adam.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
That's exactly
so
what
here
they
he
did.
wanted to be
See,
like, no,
that's-
we just gotta make people forget. We gotta get time between these movies. This movie was ready to go. We're gonna try and make as much money off of it as we can, and then we're just gonna move on from it.
He also would have been confined to how they explain the multiverse. And I don't think he wants that either.
Yeah.
I
And
think
this-
Additionally,
this
he also
yeah.
in the post-credit scene, we get Momoa back, and
Oh, Momoa's
obviously
come back because he's great.
That's the point. He's come back in another movie.
yeah, he has another movie.
Matt,
That's
Robbie, would
very
George
enjoyable.
Clooney been a top cameo for you if he came out and his suit had nipples on it?
yes.
That's what I thought.
If he came down like grappled down, yeah.
No, not in a bat suit, just in his Armani suit that he was
His
wearing.
Armani suit had the nipples.
Just
like,
had
the
nipples on
cut
it?
out.
Yeah. No. Like had like armor nipples on.
No, I don't want.
Oh, I don't know now.
I just want
Which one's
a
better?
pull. I just want like maybe in that universe now, like showing your nipples.
That's
is, like,
just
the thing.
style. That's
Yeah.
just the style. Is you have this nice suit,
Because
but the nipples are
because
just
that
exposed.
Batman's been the Batman. He's always had nipples on his suit.
Well,
And he hasn't killed Batman or that many villains.
Yeah, Gotham is still just a total crap
Oh,
hole.
so lost opportunity is if you're telling me this Batman is still around, that you don't have these gothic buildings everywhere. That's why I kind of like the Tim Burton like buildings.
That's why I think they're ignoring those other movies.
Yeah.
well,
Lots of missed opportunities.
that's our review. Don't go
Hey,
see it, I
that's-
guess.
That's it, folks.
Wait for it.
Toot.
Wait for Max to have it.
I
Toot
would-
falls out.
Yeah, ask Max for it once it's on streaming. I would say go watch it once it's on streaming.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I would
once
agree with
Max
that.
has it, go watch it. Yeah.
I will not have it. The
Ask
streaming
Max for his Napster account. He'll file share the movie with you.
Napster. That's
Hey, Max,
funny. That was funny.
where's your LimeWire link?
That's so good. Well, Robbie, thank you for coming on and joining us.
I guess the kids would say torrent. What's your torrent for it? That's
Is that it's kids like that? I guess I'm glad I came on. Kind of took me away from my Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering cards.
I'm glad you came too.
So yeah.
Mark, thank you
Thanks
for
having me.
joining us today.
I'm always glad to be coming with you guys. So
Thank you, Infinity Bros Universe, wherever you listened, however you listened. Thanks for making us part of your podcast experience. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All the links that we're talking about today on the show are in the show notes. We love you guys, 3,000, and we'll see you soon. See ya. Bye.
bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Infinity Bros podcast. You can find the Infinity Bros on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Infinity Bros. Feel free to send listener feedback via email at infinitybrospodcast@gmail.com.